gardeners. It rained this morning, but if you're tired of waiting around for Mother Nature to come and give you some moisture for your plants, and you don't want to use this perforated soaker line, don't. Get yourself a roll of this 1/2 inch black drip line and just put a regular garden hose adapter on there with a clamp. And then once you've done that, you just come around, and wherever your plants are, this connects to a regular garden hose. You take and you use one of 3 type of connectors. This is a T, so it's got 2 drip head emitters. The green on the top says that it's a 3 gallon per hour. They make them in 1, 2, 3, and I think 5 or 6. They also make a straight, so if you just want to water one plant, or they do make an L. I've got them up in the garage. An L would obviously just water one plant as well. So you take these, and there's a tool we'll show you later. You just punch a little hole in there. You pop this in there, and I've got 1 drip emitter with a 4-foot section. And I go down here and I find my next hole, and I pop in my T, and I've got 2 of them, looks like 3-footers. And then lastly, if I wanted, the difference between this straight and the L is, you can see that straight is going to stick up in the air, but an L will lay flat like a T will. The other thing, if you really wanted to get crazy, you could take your 1/4 inch and put a T in here and run another one off that. So if you've got a lot of plants like this, where they're all close together, that would probably be a better thing for you to do, is run that T off here and then branch out as close as you need to the other ones to get it done. Just one other thing, if you want to have drip irrigation for a garden like this, they make brown pipe, and it actually just does exactly that. It's supposed to blend in with the dirt, and then always remember too, when you put this down, to put some clamps or some staples on it, not paper staples, the ones that are about 4 inches long, inch at the top, so it goes loosely over the top. There you go. And a great example of what not to do. Kink. This stuff has a memory. And slugs.
Oh, cool.
Sluggo. He's our sponsor. Sorry, Sluggo.
In this episode of Home Gardening, we are going to demonstrate how to set up your irrigation.
In the rain.
In the rain. Real life struggles.
Lesson number 1. Do not allow the 1/2 inch irrigation pipe to kink.
Uh-oh.
It has a memory, and it'll never come back. So once it's kinked, so you have to be careful not to allow this stuff to kink like that. Sometimes it'll work, but most of the time it'll just break.
You got 2 kinks in there.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. We can fix this. This will be a good one to fix. If I can get them sorted out.
Let's have a pause from our sponsors.
Today's sponsorship is Temptations. Pierre approves.
We'll start with this. So this is a section of unkinked 1/2 inch irrigation drip line. And I say unkinked because if you allow this to kink, We'll develop a memory like this, and this is no good. It'll start leaking, so we're going to cut this, and we'll use that for something else. We'll get rid of this end, all the way back to where the kink is pretty good. That's right. Okay. Now, we've got, and this one has not been, oh, I take it back. It has,
You got 2 kinks.
well, and it, oh no. Well, that was probably a punch hole. That's the reason why that one kicked. Oh, I gotta go grab those from inside too. Oh, this may take several takes. I don't feel this. I don't feel any punch holes, so this is a complete section. Tape pin. Looks like it's good again. Okay, I'm gonna go get my post tool. This is good. It's a little too close to the end. But we'll start from scratch. Take it off.
You got a hold here.
Okay. That looks like somebody hit it with a lawnmower. I used these down at church when we planted all the trees. We had 235 trees, and watering them all summer would have been quite expensive to hire a truck to come in and do it. So Uncle Jay provided the lazy man's way of irrigation. Well, we'll just, how long is this? So that's probably 10 foot. So.
I like that estimation there, guys.
I'm 5'9". Comes around me, but it stops at my nose. So maybe 10, maybe 12. All right. So this is a section of just plain black 1/2 inch drip irrigation tubing. So the first thing we'll have to do is put an end on this, a connecting end. So come over here and grab, oops. Maybe I don't have, those are all 3/8. Isn't that a booger?
What's this one?
Well, it's an elbow.
Oh.
I need one of these so that you can put a pump on it. Oh, I know one. Those aren't meant to. So, we have to grab a 1/2 inch, there we go, hose fitting. And we also have to have a clamp. Too big, so we will go with one of these. Spring clamp. Slip that on. Slip this on. It's nice and snug. And we'll just tighten it down. I like to use a nut driver on these too because think it does a better job tightening the clamp. In fact, this looks like a bad clamp. It's not grabbing. This is also a good time to throw away your bad tools, your bad clamps. If I can get this back off, it should just pop off since it's not clip grabbing. Do that. Smaller than a quarter.
I would like to note that the show is not endorsing Mizzou University.
I was going to put tape over it so that the twins wouldn't be upset. I could just put like Gardeners of America. Goa.
Goa.
Yeah, see that was bent there, so that's why that one wasn't catching. Alright. Lubrication. WD. Not my favorite, but it works. Much easier. Okay. That's not a good sign because the screw came out and the clamp didn't move. Let's see if we can slip that on. Go from the other end since we've already put the slit. I don't have any other holes in this. I'm going to keep it just a little bit away from the very end. And then I also like to put a little bit of black electrical tape just to keep that from scratching up your hand. I'm trying to put it, connect it to the faucet. Start it on the clean spot and then move it over. Okay. Now, since this is only 10 foot, we'll go ahead and put the nail end on.
Please show us the difference between a male and a female.
Male and female. Male, female. These happen to be 5/8, 3/4 fittings, but some and that's usually what it's going to take on this type of piping. That fits nice and snug.
So that's a female?
This is a female, yeah. So the threads are on the inside. On the male, threads on the outside. You can pick these up at your local home center. And actually, for this type, well, it's going to be under pressure. I was going to say you could use the plastic ones. I've got some plastic ones, like right here. But when you turn these on, it'll be under pressure, and then only the drip head will let the water out. So it's really good to have a good tight fit in a solid brass fitting. So I need another clamp.
You can place your orders for these parts at conradsgarage.com. Can't guarantee on shipping arrival, but we surely can find the piece for you.
after maybe a week of
Searching.
organizing and sorting, we might be able to go directly to stuff. So, open that up. And these are going to alternate between, they're not all the same. This is a 1/4 inch, but it's too small, so we'll have to go to a 5/16. And that's too big, so it must be metric. It is a 7mm metric. Much easier. From WD, water displacement formula number 40. Made from fish oil. Okay,
So don't drink it, Caitlin.
Yeah. We don't know what kind of fish. Okay, same thing as before. I want to leave it just a little bit of a gap. Just one that. Put 2 females on. Can't have that.
It's a problem when you have 5 daughters.
Yeah. You gotta have a guy in there somewhere. This is actually a good one. It is too big. Just have to use this new one. Okay. And I'm just gonna sharpen that back down about a 1/4 to 1/2 inch from the end, but also make sure it's on the barbed side. Won't do any good if it's out past it. Same thing with the last one. I don't like these things cutting my hands up. So, a little electrical tape on it. Music in the background is KTPG 90.9, The Bridge. Listener supported radio. Okay, now, so we got a 10-inch or 10-foot, 10 to 12-foot section of hose. So normally you're not going to have anything irrigated that close to it. So we'll come down 3 feet. The punch tool, which is this. They also make one that's a 2-handle. I had one, I couldn't find it. I actually like it best because it won't kink this, but what you do is you just put it up there, push in, and you heard the click, so it went through. Don't push it too hard that it goes through the other side. So it makes that little hole right there. So then, depending on how you want to do this, you can run a T, or if you're just trying to water one tomato plant or one bush, something like that, you would just put out a straight like this, and then we would hook the drip line. This is a T with 2 3-gallon drip emitters. You'll notice the green goes up, and then the black part is what actually drips out onto the plant. So in this case, we're going to snap this in same way, and it catches like that. And this was a T, yeah, this was a T connector. But then if we go down here, so this, you could actually split it out almost 10 feet between plants if you wanted. Tomatoes are normally 2 to 3 foot apart, so this could go either to 2 tomato plants, or you could even put 2 on the same tomato plant. That'd give you 6 gallons per hour instead of just 3. Or then if you get, so yeah, that's 3, come down another 3, and same thing. Try to keep your punches on the same line so that you don't have some over here and some over, because this black pipe is eventually going to just lay on the ground. So I'll punch it again. This time I'm going to put an elbow just a simple little elbow with a single head. So what this would be for is if maybe I had something shooting off the other direction, and again, using a T and an elbow is better than using one of these straight ones, unless you're doing a straight one with just a really short drip head. The reason for that is, again, you don't want to kink the line. So when I put this in here, same thing, it's going to snap a little bit, and then I'll hook a 1/4 inch drip on that. I'm just going to slip that up over that. An easy way for this too, if it's cold, when it's not 100 degrees outside, put a little soap on it. Dish soap makes it nice and slippery. Doesn't hurt anything. Put those up on there. These tubes are, these 1/4 inch tubes are almost 15 years old, so it might have been better if I left them out in the sun or was using fresh, but a fresh 1/4 inch tubing won't be that rigid, and it should slip right on. So we got about room for one more, so we will do a straight. And again, because I'm going to do a straight, I was going to say I would punch it.
Are you on the same line?
Yeah, I was going to punch it a 1/4 over, because then it would just lay on the ground, whereas these are going to travel. But we'll go ahead. I mean, problem is, see, it's going to stick up and then it's going to come down. But if you wanted to keep it kind of invisible or less visible, then you would punch it on the side. I'm going to go ahead and do this one here though, so all 3 of them are the same. Okay. Put that in there. Oh, before I do that, let's just say I goofed. Say I thought, oh shoot, this one was supposed to be 2 feet. They actually make goof plugs. That's what they're called. So you take a goof plug, and all it does, break one off, it will fill that hole and no water will leak out. Same thing. It's solid on both ends, so it's going to, as opposed to this one, it has the beveled edge on both sides, and that's so that one goes in and then the other one slips on. So I'm actually going to put another T on this one, because that'll make a nice, as I said, 10-12 foot section, and that would give it 6 actual drip lines. So we could take it over here to Meemaw's flower garden.
Here comes Dad and Molly. They are videoing, showing you how to use.
So obviously she's got way too many plants in here, but if this was a garden, these would be about the right distance for a tomato, because even though I made them 3 foot, you can always curl them like that and then just put them right on the base of the plant like this. And we'll just lay this one down. There we go. And I would leave the head up. So like there's where my connection is going to go, and I just put the drip right there. Then I can run this on down. This might actually work for these peonies. Didn't exactly get it on the same point. So there we go. So then this one comes out. Put it right there. Hook this up to the hose, and like I said, the green heads are the 3 gallon per hour drip heads. They make other ones, I think they go up as much to 6 gallons an hour, or all the way down to just 1 gallon an hour. But again, if depends on how much water you want to get. Normally you don't need a lot of water, so you wouldn't want to leave it on all day, but you might want to get a 1 gallon per hour drip head, and then you could turn that on in the morning and let it run all day. But all of these heads that I have are 3 gallon per hour drip heads. Okay. Can we put oh no, I'm going to put a double on that one.
We'd like to take this time to endorse Daryl Forte as Jackson County Sheriff. Vote Forte.
Nice thing too, see on this one, one's about 3 and the other one's 4 foot. These will pivot inside your 1/2 inch line. So if I want to get all the way down to that peony down there, I could swing this so that the long one, and it almost makes it, or actually I could move these around so it does make it, and then I could actually shoot that one over there. So let's recap. We started with 1/2 inch black irrigation tubing. We put in a 5/8 regular garden hose female adapter on one end. Then you come down whatever distance. Like I say, this section of pipe looks like it's probably 30 feet long, so this would be good for a long tomato row or green beans or something like that. But look what happened. So this one already had probably a T on it, and the hole looks pretty big. Let's see if an oops is actually going to work. Oh yeah, plenty good. So we could just pop that in there, and then we could start putting on our drip lines wherever we wanted. That's the other thing too. You can run a regular garden hose up to this end and have this at the very beginning of your garden row. But so like this one, see, it's got a couple of them real close together. Like I said, I use these for the trees down at Holy Spirit. So we put, I think, 3 drip lines on each tree. So this is only a foot apart. So I had 4 drip heads coming off, where I probably ran a straight and a T, and then you just keep doing that. And looky here, somebody made a mistake. This is another style of an oops head. I've got a few of these still left. I picked these up at Home Depot.
Don't shop at Home Depot.
I wasn't going to do it, but I was in a hurry. I had a blood drive yesterday, and I know that Caitlin's dying to see this YouTube video, so I did stop. I only spent $1 there. So, but actually, the best place is to go to a lawn type place. Ewing irrigation, anything. If you just look up irrigation, would be a great place. In fact, the parts I bought at Ewing come in a bag like this. tees for 1/4-inch tubing, and there's 100 of them in here. I bet I only paid $3 or $4 when I bought these. And then this stuff yesterday, I got like 20 oops things for $1, and I think I actually did buy. Oh, that was just a fitting that I bought for it. So if you can, yeah, go to another one. I'll put a plug in for my buddy Jeff. He runs the local Site One, which previously was John Deere Lawn and Landscape, and they're all over. They're a national company. They went public, so I'll recommend them. Go to Site One, and then you just keep popping in. And that's the other thing. You can take these oops plugs out. Maybe that's what I did. Maybe I used this in the garden, and because it was so close, because that's exactly what this is. I would run a T and an elbow, and then that gave me 3 drip heads per tree. But a plant, you'll be fine just doing 1. And then go all the way to the end. There's a couple more oops. This definitely was a tree line, because our trees were about 15 feet apart, and yeah, that's how these are all spaced out. I see the oops. So I'll probably take this one to the garden and use it for my tomatoes and green beans and stuff. So, but again, if you do have a problem, just cut it off. And like the other thing I said, this stuff will last forever as long as you don't kink it. This stuff was bought in 2006, and or maybe even 5, because the church wasn't finished yet, but we planted the trees. So, and then the 1/4-inch, I don't have the roll up here. I don't know where I left it, but it comes in a. I mean, if you can buy it in smaller quantities at the home centers, but what I bought was the 1/2-inch came in 500-foot rolls, and the 1/4-inch came in 100-foot rolls. But our main drive at church was 500 feet, and we had trees on both sides, so I ended up buying 4, because then it made a T and went out the other way. So there you go. And the other thing that you might want to do is when you're connecting this is to put you a shut-off valve. This is just a cheapie. We're using all the brass ones, but just put that in there, and then you can actually turn the water off just right here at the connection, and then you could turn it on at the frost hydrant all the way down. That brings your garden hose, and then you don't have to be running back and forth to do that. In fact, there's a good picture of one on Mom's squiggly hose. These are nice. I've actually gotten away from buying the brass ones because they tend to crack. Oh, and that's the other thing. You can get a splitter, a Y, but I'd actually go with the chrome ones. Well, I am now, just to see if they don't, because if you drop them, after a while they'll develop a crack down through there, and then they're no good. Oh, one more thing. I think I also sent some of this. This is just flat irrigation line. It's perforated, and this one actually was set up to go around trees. And what I would do is I would take a Y and screw it in here. You got a male and a female, or male and a female, and put the Y on that, but you still were able to hook it up to a regular hose, and then just leave this like right now on a tree forever. So, and then, well, I do see, here's one of the things I was wanting to show. You can also probably get these plastic ones cheaper, and then you'll see right there, it's a NSPW and trying to see what size. It should be 1/2 inch because the inside diameter is 1/2 inch. And same thing, just clamp it. But you can see that's a 3/4 inch garden hose fitting. So this one, you know, could be done right here if mom just wanted to water the hostas. And you just put a simple one in there. They also make staples to hold these in the ground. You can buy them, or I couldn't find mine, buried in all the junk. So I just cut up a bunch of coat hangers. They just need to be about the length of your hand, maybe a little bit longer, so down where the coat hanger bends. Get a pair of lineman's pliers, cut them, and then straighten them so that it's in a U shape, and then just push it down over. Don't push it down too hard, but then that would hold this in place, because you know, you can see it does have some spring to it, and when you're first putting it in your garden, it'd be a good idea to put those clamps on. Okay, happy gardening, Kate and Will. I was talking about, this is the Y that I was talking about, that you could hook on here and then you could connect it this way. But actually what would be best is if I had 2 female ends, if I wanted to run a tree ring like this. That way I could still hook the hose up to here and then my 2 connections. But that's what I was talking about before. These brass ones, I guess they're all made in China now, even when you go to the home centers versus even Harbor Freight. And if they're under pressure and you drop them a few times, then they develop a crack like that. I think I'm going to go back to plastic because they really do work pretty well. And these are older than the brass ones. Like I said, I did start buying chrome ones, but if I was going to do this, I'll just take this off and I'll put another female end, and then those 2 female ends will go right there. I would still leave, you know, yeah, because this helps hold it together in a circle. You could just wrap it around the tree and put some of those stakes on it too, and then you wouldn't have to. So if you did that, you're going to have to cap off the end, and the same thing on your drip line. So they make these, and I don't remember if I sent any of these caps, but again, you can go to the home center, Walmart. They're like $1 for 3 of them. So I would do the same thing on your big hose. And this truck doesn't have it unlocked from outside like my Ford does. It'll do everything else, but it won't do that. So anyway, put some of those caps on there. Here's a really nice one, black one. I'll probably put that on. Actually, I'll leave that green one on there so I can tell that this one has just a short termination. And I'll put this on one of my drip lines. I actually put T's on all that on that other one, so that gave me 6 drips. And like I said, some of the 1/4 inch lines were 3 foot and some of them were 4 foot. It doesn't matter. You could either cut them if you wanted and put them right so that they go straight to the tomato plants, or just wrap them around the bottom of the plant. So there you go, Kate. Keep going. Keep them wet.